Hey, what's up? Hey. We got a little bit of a change.
We're live.
Yeah, hey, how are you?
Good. We've met through Michelle, huh?
Yes, how are you?
Good.
Pleasure.
How you doing? Good. Hi.
So, you know, this is, I know, but I got the mic covered. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, stranger. we're going. I know. Get this. Sixth grade.
Yes, ma'am.
Questions there. Do you have any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
When you're done,
Nancy, you know it's 7.
yeah, it's 7. Put it in my box.
So welcome, we're going to call the regular meeting to order. The time is now 7:02. Requirements of the Sunshine Law have been met. This meeting was advertised in the Burlington County Times on January the 10th, 2022, and electric notice was given pursuant to NJAC 5:39-1.5. We will now lead with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now have a moment of silence. Roll call.
Committeewoman Berkeley.
Here.
Committeeman Carr.
Present.
Committeeman De Silva.
Present.
Committeewoman Mungo.
Present.
Mayor Henley.
Present.
Also present Acting Clerk Administrator, Township Solicitor, Police and Fire EMS Chiefs.
Presentation, we're going to do a swearing in for Police Officer Randy Berry. Huh? What did I say? Ryan. I apologize. Ryan Berry.
I mean, he looked at you. I didn't want to say that.
Somebody said,
There's too many back there.
yeah. I was like, what did I say? You said Randy. I was like, sorry.
I was about to say.
Hold it for me, Mr. Mayor. And this one. There you
I,
go. I,
Ryan Berry,
Ryan Beard,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
I will bear true faith
I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments
and to the government
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all duties of
all duties of
Police Lieutenant for West Hampton Township Police Department,
Police Lieutenant for the West Hampton Township Police Department,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate this.
We will now take a brief break. So everyone can, we have, I believe, the police department has cake and water to celebrate the occasion. So everyone is please feel free to dismiss and go into the lobby and enjoy the celebration.
Mayor, I believe next on the agenda is to discuss a personnel matter. The deputy clerk was provided with a rice notice and given the option to discuss the personnel item in closed or in open session. She provided notice to the acting clerk today that she like the matter to be discussed in open session. So that's how we're proceeding today.
Okay.
And it'll start with the Township Administrator presenting to the committee the issue at hand, and followed up by a discussion by the committee. This is not a public hearing. This is not a hearing, so it's not intended to be a back and forth. Any public comments anyone in the public has related to this matter, they can be made during the public comment section, just like any other issue. And again, it's not intended to be a back and forth, but instead for the comments to be made. If the committee would like to respond at all, they can do so during the comments committee.
So let me ask a question. So on B, it says discussion by committee. So there's no point that the committee discusses anything?
Now, that would be for the committee to ask questions of the Township Administrator or to respond to the Township Administrator on what she's going to present to you.
Okay. Can we start that now, or should we wait? Do we have a motion?
Silver make a motion.
Carl, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
This discussion is regarding the deputy clerk and township clerk positions. It is my recommendation to have the deputy clerk remain as deputy going forward. I am recommending that I remain acting clerk for one more term per the allowance of the statute. Prior to the expiration of that term, the committee must reevaluate and choose to either repost the position, explore shared services, or if I pass the certification, I can remain on as township clerk. I have some concerns with the current deputy, such as her excessive lateness to duties and meetings, confidentiality issues, and inefficient usage of time. She's also not certified and will not have an opportunity to become certified until next year. Additionally, this year we have a few factors that work against changes to the position, such as budgetary concerns and timing of the deadline. This is ultimately the decision of the committee, but I will need guidance as of right now. I will need to have a resolution on the agenda for the meeting in May regarding the acting clerk for June 1st, 2022 through May 31st, 2023. Additionally, for the position of clerk past May 31st, 2023, I ask that any changes to the position be made at least 3 months in advance.
That's it.
So if the committee has any questions for the Township Administrator?
Is that it? Is that all the information I need?
If you have any specific questions, you can ask them of the Township Administrator.
Okay. Mrs. Administrator, did you ever at any time I can't see you. Did any time just sit down and talk to this person about your concerns in a closed meeting in your office?
No, I have not.
Have you ever documented and written up this person and put anything in the file to show that you're not satisfied with her job?
There are circumstances documented. There has been some discussion. There has not been anything disciplinary.
So do you think then that this person was aware of the seriousness of your concerns?
I don't know if I could answer that truthfully.
Can you give us an example of, you said lateness, does this person come to work late every day?
There are numerous occasions, yes, where there have been excessive lateness.
And you've written them down?
Yes, I have.
Is there any other unsatisfactory elements?
Yes, there are concerns with some confidentiality issues that there have been discussions in the past with regard to the position and the seriousness of the position and what it entails to the committee and specifically to the mayor and other members on the committee. There's some issues with just the development of the position. I don't think that the deputy is ready to take on that responsibility yet. I think there needs to be some more education. I think there needs to be some more experience, and we just need more time. to get the deputy prepared.
Well, I agree with you because this person came into the job from the construction office and didn't have any background and didn't have any time with the current, at that time, the current clerk to be trained. I'm concerned too about the setup of the office. You say confidentiality. It is very easy in that office for other people to overhear telephone calls. And I have had experience with other people in that office overhearing telephone calls, which might not really been a confidentiality of the deputy clerk, but of the office and people staying in their same lane. Thank you. That's all my concerns.
Anyone else?
You said your recommendation is to keep her in the deputy position right now, currently. Well, do we have a copy of that presentation or that letter notice that you gave us? Do we have a copy of that?
I can provide it.
Okay. Just because there was some timelines in there that I'd like to look through that you mentioned that you just did. There's timelines about, I don't know.
Are you talking about what I
You just
read?
presented what you read, yes.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes.
And as far as the latenesses, you said you had them documented?
I do.
Is that something that you can send us as well?
I can.
Thank you.
Do we employ a time clock?
We do.
Do we have, as a committee, have any other questions?
No, sir.
No.
You got Bob?
Yeah, if I can just want to make sure something's clear. Are you recommending any discipline at this time?
I am not.
No? What would be, kind of following up on Committeewoman Berkeley's question, what's the next course of action that you're...
I think the next course of action would be just a corrective action plan to put the deputy back on track as far as reevaluating the position, the responsibilities, the duties of the clerk, and just provide more training, more education, and just get that position up to speed.
Thank you.
Is it possible that she could go visit other municipalities and spend a day with clerks in other municipalities to get ideas and give her some ideas of how to organize her job and get her job done better?
It is possible.
Do you have anything else?
No, sir.
So what are you looking for from us today?
So we are about 3 months away from the end of the first year term of my acting clerk status. I will need the committee to provide direction as to how you would like to proceed as my term ends on May 31st, 2022. So we will need some sort of direction on the May agenda as far as the acting clerk position.
But that's not today.
Not today, no.
Right.
No action today.
Is there a reason why for the course is not completed, or?
The courses are only offered during specific times. So really, people are only able to register for the classes when they are provided. So some of the classes tend to overlap or just aren't offered at particular times, and it just drags out the process. So if we're looking at a certification, the deputy would not be able to be certified until next year at this point.
Anything else, guys? Ladies?
No, sir.
So do we have to motion out? Do we have a motion to exit out of the personnel matter?
Hey,
Excuse
I
me?
got one more question. Sorry.
That's okay.
The course, how you said it, it's when it's available. When it was set up, was it supposed to be pretty much done this year, though? How it was set up?
I'm
I
confused.
guess with the timeline of
With the timeline,
courses,
yeah.
was the deputy supposed to
Be
be
ready by the next
by the end
month?
of the
My understanding is that there was no way for the deputy to complete the courses and take the test by May 31st. Is that, and I think that's what your question is.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the fact that she doesn't have the certification is no fault of her own.
Okay, that's what I was.
Wendy, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Wendy, was she hired after Marion left or before Marion left?
Hired by the township
Yes, by you.
before Marion left.
Adequate time to get trained or just a couple of weeks?
She was hired several years before Marion left.
No, for the
different
clerk
Are you
position.
talking about the promotion?
Yes.
She worked part-time as a technical assistant and also fulfilled many of the smaller duties of the clerk's office while Marion was still employed with us. She was then made full-time and given the title as deputy clerk while Marion was still employed with us for, I would say, the most of early 2021. And then when Marion left, she started taking on more clerical responsibilities and offloading some of the technical assistant duties to another individual.
So I guess my question is trying to get at, did she know she was going to be the deputy clerk in enough time with Marion that Marion was training her specifically for that job?
Yes.
And you can't tell me how long that was?
Off the top of my head, I cannot.
If you would get that to me, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
We have a motion?
Carl will make a motion.
Longo, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Approval of minutes, March 1st, 2022, regular meeting, executive session, and workshop minutes. We have a motion?
Carl will make a motion.
De Silva will second.
Roll call?
Berkeley,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
De Silva,
Yes.
Mungo,
Abstain.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 401.
An open meeting to the public for public comments on agenda items only.
Mr. Mayor, should we let the public know outside that we're moving on with the meeting in case one of them has a comment for the township?
I think Chief, and they're aware, right?
Okay, are they aware, Chief Ent? Do we have anyone out there from? Yeah, we can double check though.
I'd hate for them if they wanted to say something to miss it.
Absolutely.
This is the agenda items.
Hmm?
We have to open it for agenda items only. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's open.
Oh,
to
the motion,
public,
yeah. You want to do a motion on that?
Whatever
I
you
think we're good. You got to close it, just,
say it's open again.
okay. So let everyone know if that's, we open for public comments on agenda items only. Does anyone have any comments? Certainly. Come on up.
What is the current structure of the office right now? It seems to me you have,
Well, real quick, I think you have to state your name and address.
my name is Paul Weiler.
Yes.
I reside in Mulligan Township.
Mulliga?
I work here in West Hampton Township.
Okay.
So my question, the structure of the office. It appears to me you have an office manager, also human resources. Is that correct?
No, we don't answer questions.
I'm asking, you don't get questions. So
No, we'll do it at the end though, like, we're not gonna
I'm
not.
making a statement there. My
Right.
statement is, it appears to me you have a structure that has the same person as the office manager also in charge of human resources. Therefore, how is it possible to have a back and forth about complaints about issues with tardiness, work product, and the person you report to is also your liaison for HR? Second question is, it appears to me that the budget is controlled by the same office managers. Therefore, if people will take courses, at the same time, there's only one budget, only one person can go. That is my interpretation of how things work. So therefore, with the timing that she expressed to you guys about having a goal, having a certain amount of time to complete said courses to become the acting municipal clerk, it was impossible with timing of courses as well as restricted funding. That's my commentary to the committee, as well as it appears to me that this was actually a ploy to take over the role that was built for deputy to actually move into the municipal clerk. That the person who has it now wants that role, which is fine, but that should be expressed and not commandeered as other issues. My comments.
Thank you. Any other comments? Do we have a motion to close?
De Silva make a motion.
Mungo, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Monthly reports, West Hampton Township Police Department report, West Hampton Township Public Works Department reports. Those reports are posted. Ordinance 2-2022, calendar year 2022, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. This is the first reading. Do we have a motion?
Berkeley?
De Silva seconds.
Roll call.
Berkeley,
Yes?
Carr,
Yes.
De Silva,
Yes.
Mungo,
Yes.
Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
3-2022, ordinance of the Township of West Hampton, bond ordinance authorizing the acquisition of various capital improvements in and for the Township of West Hampton, County of Burlington, New Jersey. Appropriating the sum of $1,256,150. This is the first reading. Do we have a motion?
De Silva make a motion.
Berkeley, second.
Roll call.
Berkeley,
Yes?
Carr,
Yes.
De Silva,
Yes.
Mungo,
Yes.
Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
4-2022, ordinance of the Township of West Hampton authorizing a grant to grant a deed of easement to the County of Burlington for the preservation of property located at Block 203, Lot 4, within the Township of West Hampton. This is also the first reading. Do we have a motion?
Carl will make a motion.
Mungo, second.
Roll call.
Question? We did some, is this the same thing we did before, but at a different location?
This is not really the, I don't think we can, do we question?
You can question anything.
Well, it's a time and a place though, right? No?
Yeah. If I have a question before I vote,
Huh? Go ahead.
I can clarify that. This is, I'm not sure which you're referring to as...
it was on Wood Lane Road, I believe, before.
This is the Sharpless property, and this was actually done many years ago, and the county has basically a check for the township of approximately $202,000 once this ordinance is completed. It just completes the transaction from about 10 years ago.
Okay.
It's the Sharpless property.
It seems like we've already done this, that's why I asked.
There was the first step, there was a step almost a year ago, which was
Right.
a shared service agreement, which was one step in the process of getting this whole deal done. Once we did the shared service agreement with the county, they were able to process a PO and generate the check. And since they generated the check, that's being held right now pending the passage of the ordinance.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Motion?
Do we have a motion and a second? Roll
Just
call.
roll call.
Roll call?
Berkeley,
Yes?
Carr,
Yes.
De Silva,
Yes.
Mungo,
Yes.
Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Resolutions. 49-22, payment of vouchers. This resolution approves the payment of bills. Do we have a motion?
Carl will motion.
De Silva will second.
Roll call?
Berkeley,
No?
Carr,
Yes.
De Silva,
Yes.
Mungo,
Yes.
Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-1-0.
50-22, resolution authorizing the 2022 municipal budget to be read by title only. Motion?
Carl will make a motion.
Mungo, second.
Roll call?
Berkeley,
Yes?
Carr,
Yes.
De Silva,
Yes.
Longo,
Yes.
Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
51-22, resolution authorizing the local examination of the 2021 municipal budget. Motion?
2021,
Carl will second.
Wait a minute.
22.
Is this supposed to be let me reread that. It's supposed to be 2022?
Typo, 2022.
So 51-22, resolution authorizing the local examination of the 2022 municipal budget. Do we have a motion?
We have a motion and second.
Longo motion.
Carl
Carr
seconds.
seconds.
Roll call.
Berkeley,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
De Silva,
Yes.
Longo,
Yes.
Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
52-22, resolution to introduce the 2022 municipal budget. Motion?
Berkeley?
Silva seconds.
Roll call.
Berkeley,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
De Silva,
Yes.
Longo,
Yes.
Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Consent, what's up?
My apologies.
Which one? Whatever you got to do. Okay. Do we have to do anything to exit Tony De Silva?
No.
Okay.
The minutes will reflect,
I'm sorry?
just the minutes will reflect he's not today the rest of the meeting.
Okay. Consent agenda resolutions, consent agenda resolutions note. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted with one single motion. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by the certification of availability of funds. Any items requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. Does anyone have anything they need to remove? With that said, do we have a motion?
Berkeley?
Carl second.
Roll call?
Berkeley,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Longo,
Yes.
Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
OPM mailbox and correspondence, there are none. We will now open the meeting for public comment. Please remember to state your name and address for the record.
Mayor Henley, I have a comment to make. This is Township Administrator Wendy Gibson.
Sure.
I just want to make note that at the last meeting, there was a incorrect paragraph in the resolution for the deferred school tax. The operative language in the last paragraph should be correct. So I just need to make a statement that the number that was pointed out to us during the last meeting in the aforementioned paragraphs was incorrect.
Okay. Come on up. Anyone else? Hey, you're good.
We're on Citrus and fans, so it's really hard to hear what you guys are talking about, so, I have just a couple of things.
Can you state your name and address for the
Yeah, sorry
record?
about that. Scared for Grand 138 Winstead. So, during last committee's meeting, the committee members' comments, see, I do listen. And so, Nancy, you made some very lovely statements about Mrs. Vininsky, and she passed away. It kind of made me remember, prior to the pandemic, I used to go to the Willingboro MUA meetings, and one day I went there and I noticed that the building was adorned in a mourning bunting, and they also had a condolence book, because a long retired, but very beloved employee had passed away. And I thought that was a very lovely gesture on the part of the MUA for, a long time dedicated employee. And I'm just wondering if that's something that might make an appearance here for people that do serve the township, in a dedicated, loyal fashion. We do accordingly, honor them with some mourning bunting with condolence books. So just something for you to think about. That could be very lovely for the family there. And then, Mr. Carr, you made a comment about Timbuktu. And I happened to be listening late at night to the BBC World Service, and I got something here for you. Interestingly enough, in the country mountain, which happens to be Timbuktu, which I know that if I remember correctly, Dr. Weston and I want to say his mother too as well, they had programs at Timbuktu where they actually had like live video conference calls with some schools in in the country of Maryland, if I remember correctly. Now, what caught my ear when I was listening to this, obviously after you had mentioned Timbuktu, late at night I was listening to this, and basically what happened was that a virtual gallery, I'm just kind of reading here, a virtual gallery to showcase Malawi's cultural history has been launched, featuring tens of thousands of Timbuktu ancient manuscripts. So the manuscripts were smuggled to safety from Timbuktu after Islamist militant groups took control of the city in 2012. And these are apparently spectacular and part of the UNESCO heritage site. So it's something I think that if people aren't familiar with, it is apparently quite an accomplishment to mankind. So something maybe you can bring back to the folks that are Timbuktu here. So that made me think of that when you made that comment. And here's something from the West Coast, California, the city of Fresno. This caught my eye. Fresno lost $400,000 to a phishing scam in 2020 and never told the public. Now this is interesting. You may be familiar with the Nigerian Prince email scam. Well, there's a new variant of that now, and it affects municipalities. These entrepreneurial scammers basically are disguising invoices. They look totally legit. They send them to the townships. In this case, the city of Fresno, the biggest major metropolitan area. And a city staff completed electronic money transfer, not knowing the invoice was fake. Basically, everything was set up accurately except for the bank routing number, which was different. They paid. They could not recover the funds. The insurance carrier denied the claim. They had to go back to the taxpayer and ask for a $400,000 tax increase. So, the city spent, according to this article, millions of dollars updating its IT infrastructure to protect the city's private data and ward off the digital scams. The city controller's office received additional training and process will modify to prevent similar situation in the future. For example, multiple people now look at invoices before transferring money, and employees may actually call them to verify invoices are real if insufficient that they might not be. They're going to try. These scammers are going to try, right? So we need to be on guard. So maybe it might be something that we could take a look at, me and you could take a look at, and contact City of Fresno and find out what this training program looks like, and steal all the best practices from it and put it here, right? Or with our neighbors. And lastly, I guess I was kind of caught off guard. I wasn't expecting to hear sort of a personnel matter kind of being discussed. I have a couple of just observations around that. Was there a record of that transcript being made? Q&A?
What do you mean a record?
So, the personnel matter?
Right. She was being questioned, she answered. Was that recorded?
Yes,
Okay.
public record.
Okay.
Yes,
But no transfer, just, was it audio recorded?
yes, just like everything else.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
We have anyone else? Come on up, sir.
Anthony Gatz, 109 West Maple Tree Drive. I'd like to know if the committee has given any thought to following what Mansfield Township just did and put in an ordinance to block warehouses from being built. It's no different than what other towns do with liquor licenses, like limiting how much can be in the township.
So we'll answer a lot of the questions, like we can't answer now, but I understand what you're saying, and we'll answer it with our comments.
The other thing, I think a couple of weeks ago we had storms, took down power lines by Wood Lane and Ira, and then they were still doing work when school started up. Traffic was getting backed up. I saw emergency services try to come through. I don't know what the light was there, but we need to give some consideration to what's going on around our township, and especially there's been a string of fires going on, and here there's one this morning in a neighboring town, and all this traffic from construction and other things hinders emergency services capabilities.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goods.
Do we have any other comments? With no other comments?
You got somebody?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Terrence Brown, 9 Pine Tree. Two questions.
Sure.
First question about, mentioned about the transcript. She said it's recorded. Where are those posted at, and how will the public access it? That's question number 1. Number 2, was the township notified of the construction on the bridge? And if so, where was that publication publicized at for the people to see? Because I see that city services are heavy out there now. So what was that publication?
Thank you. Do we have anyone else? With that being said, do we have a motion to close public comment?
So moved.
Carl, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Dates to remember. Next scheduled meeting will be April 5th, 2022. Budget hearing will be April 19th, 2022. Local law enforcement career day is March 31st from 12 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. at Rowan Campus in Mount Laurel. Recreation Department is having their Easter event April the 7th. Liaison reports, comments. Do we have any comments by the committee members?
Can I add to the dates to remember? This Friday on the 18th at the Rancocas Historical Society at the Rancocas Civic Association is having a program on Alice Paul at 7 o'clock. It's free to everyone in West Hampton or whoever wants to come. We're trying to do more historical programs now that we've gotten the inside a little done. It was a busy 2 weeks. I went to the GIF workshop. I recommend everyone go. Oh my goodness, I learned so much. One of the things that they really pointed out was the cyber hostage situation that's going on. And they talked about one school who someone clicked on a wrong email and they got a bill for $800,000 to restore their computer systems. And they do have training for all of our employees about how to avoid that. And actually, I was very impressed. I went in to ask Bob, our CFO, a question about the bill, and we were talking about that, and he said that it had happened in West Hampton before. And because of that, which probably people don't know, he says, I do everything on the computer like I should. And he pulled out this big book that's about this thick. And he said, everything I do on the computer, I do, and I write down on paper. So that if we have a cyber problem like this and we lose everything, it's not lost totally. It's in my paperwork. And I was very happy about that. They will do training. Also, they talked about lawsuits being brought about by and because of employees, and that they're getting worse, and they will help us do that. I got a phone call between now and the last meeting from a resident who had trouble trying to get information from the Land Development Board. I think we were between secretaries, and I didn't know how to help him. I called Maria, and she got a hold of Jody, and apparently Jody was able to figure out his problem and get him his information he needed right away. And he said she was exceptionally helpful and very kind, and he was very thrilled that she is doing such a great job for us there. The schools, the artwork has been turned in here. Wendy is trying to get them to put in some kind of frame so we can hang them up. We'll have the parents come take their kids. I have a picture with their artwork on the halls upstairs. We've already gotten the essays of unsung or hidden heroes for Black History Month. I just gave them to Mr. Carr, who's also going to be a reader, and if anyone else wants to do that, they are also exceptional. On my ongoing, I use the word fight, on my ongoing, trying to get permission to give my salary to the Rec for Seniors, which I wanted to do. I got an official email from the lawyer that said I could not do that. I could not really even take my money and give it to them without a lot of legal stuff that would cost us probably more than my salary is worth. So what I'm going to do is there is a Mount Holly Seniors nonprofit organization who lets West Hampton seniors join, and they're going to open it up more to West Hampton seniors, and I will be giving my cash after I cash my check to them. And I found out that this really applies to all of us. None of us can give any funds to anything related to the township without going through our attorney's legal beagle, whatever he has to do. So we have to be careful of that because it was done in the past. It was done last year. And so anytime we spend money, it cannot be given to the township. And I would assume that includes any buildings anywhere that the township works on. I don't know if you want to work on that for me, Mr. Attorney? Or when it's time for you to say something. That's all. Thank you.
I just wanted to thank the residents for coming out and, offering your suggestions and questions to us. I know that they will be addressed. I want to congratulate Lieutenant Berry tonight, and also my condolences to the hostess family for Anna Costas, who we all know lost her life in the fire in Holly Hills.
Right.
I remember walking home from second grade Holly Hills, and she was the crossing guard, so it hit me when I heard about that. So a lot of prayers and comfort to her family on that. Also, congratulations to Lieutenant Ryan Beery. I'm sure it's a proud moment for him and his family, and he's an asset to our department. I'm proud to be here today to see that. I'd like to comment on, I'd like to thank Mr. Bob Wright, Ms. Gibson, and Mayor Henley, and the rest of our committee on this budget. It was a hard process, and they did a lot. It was an unrelenting attack, and I'm confident that it's the best outcome for our community. So that's it.
Guess I'm last. One, obviously, I want to thank the residents for coming out. And even if you're not a West Hampton resident and you have something to say, like, it's always welcome, to have the feedback and the jargon and kind of know exactly how everyone feels and keeping your pulse on, what everyone believes, so we can always make the right decisions. Obviously, thank you to the police department, fire department, public works, and, our attorneys and Ms. Gibson, as well as the committee. Just to, answer a few questions that I can. Now, what I will always say, and what I've always said, if when we leave here, if someone wants to talk to me or have a conversation, I'm more than open. Like, that's just a part of the role. So, but as far as how the office is set up, it is a smaller office. So just trying to answer some of the questions, like, it is a smaller office. I would imagine that if we're talking about the administrator doubling as an HR person, I don't know that happens. From what I've seen, most of those conversations, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, usually go through the solicitor or will go through our labor attorney. So they're usually addressed by those labor attorneys, and then it goes really by like contractual, what's able to be done or what's not able to be done, or what that conversation is like or how it should be. That's what I've always seen as far as the direction that we kind of go in. Because it is a small office, a lot of people take on a bunch of different roles within that office. It's just always been that. And right now, we have, 3 people or 4 people who have retired who are no longer here. So there's a lot of balls being juggled up there, and it's a lot for everyone who's involved. Now, obviously, it's going to take some time, but we're trying to find, the right people to put in place so that it won't be as many balls being juggled, but obviously that's gonna take a period of time. to make sure that we put the right people in place. So I don't know if that fully answers the question, but again, when this is over, if you have any other questions or you want to talk to me, that's perfectly fine. I have no issue with that. As far as the Manfield situation, yes, we have heard about that. I don't think we can really talk about it too much, but it was a conversation, right? As far as what they put out with their warehouses and what they've done. I don't know, personally, I don't know that totally fits with us, but, you know, there could be something that could play off of that would be helpful. So I understand, like, hearing your address, and then it just connects the dots with your concerns. So, as far as, you know, I guess what we talked about, the committee woman, Berkeley talked about the giving back of the salary. Kind of what how I feel about it is that, and I've had this conversation with her, so there's no surprise. Like, I'm not a big sucker punch person. Like, I pretty much will say exactly what I've said to you or to anyone. The township is more than happy to accept the salary back, but we can't send it to the seniors because the policemen need stuff, the fire department needs stuff, the public works needs things. So how that money gets spent or sent is really on the township, right? The seniors have a dinner, and it could very well go to the seniors, but if the police department needed something right away, then it would go to them. If the public works needed something right away, then it would go to them. And I think that when the township is putting out money and you give the money back, it should really be up to the person or where the money originated from as far as how it should be divulged and where it should go. That's just, like, personally how I look at it and how I feel. Number two, on the 26th, there's going to be, we're working on doing a basketball court, right? And so basically, just round numbers, this basketball court is probably going to cost $12,000. I talked to our engineering company that does work for the township. This is a job that roughly could be $60,000 to $90,000. There's a bunch of people donating their time to get this done. I had an opportunity for the third time to talk to Dr. Petrozelli, who is the superintendent of schools today, and he's ecstatic is what he spoke to me about. He said he rode by the courts today and wondered when we were going to start the process of getting that done. And kind of the way that I look at it is this. We did a deal, and again, not using direct numbers, but we did a deal, and in that deal, we received community redevelopment money. With that community redevelopment money, we're trying to get as much done to develop this community that we can with that. So the fact that we have, people who are going to devote their time, and we're going to be able to get done a $60,000 to whatever $1,000 job it is for the amount of $12,000, and this is coming from a pilot program where the schools didn't receive any money. So at the end of the day, it's not our basketball court at West Hampton Township. This basketball court belongs to the schools. So one of the commitments that the committee has made, and not just this committee, I'm talking about committees year on end, about what they were going to do for the schools when we did pilots that weren't as successful as the pilot we just did to be able to help the schools. I don't know that they've ever been fulfilled. So what this committee did was made sure that we fulfilled that commitment that we made to the schools by building up their basketball court. Now, listen, who plays on the basketball court, whether it's somebody from Bordentown or whoever, is their business, because West Hampton is welcome to everyone. But what's important is that we give our community the option. When people ride by the street, so I have an email from a resident, and the resident addressed this basketball court. This was their mission for like 2 years, right? Because what they felt was when you ride through the heart of our town, you have a basketball court with the nets hanging off, trash, and just unkept. And this is some people's perception of West Hampton, right? And I like to relate it to, if you have a house, this is the porch of your house. So when people drive by, this is how it looks. So I'm ecstatic that this is a part of our community that's going to be developed, and that this is something that when people ride through our town, that we have an opportunity to win their hearts, as everyone's hearts here have been won, and that going forward, that we spent roughly $12,000 on a $60,000 job, and we're giving back to the schools and to the children that go there. And not to mention that one of the developments, so lastly, what I would share is some of the unions who are donating their time, they ask, who should this be, who we want to donate it to? And just so that you guys know, like the selfless act of the people on the committee here, there could be 1 million people that could say, well, let's donate to this person, let's donate to that. We're donating to the kids of Holly Hills, right? Every kid that's going through there. You went through there, right?
Yes, sir.
Ryan, you went through there, right? So it's a part of our community, and I think that part is really important as far as what we're going to do. Now, listen, there's going to be 1 million conversations about what we should do with that redevelopment money, and some of it makes sense, some of it doesn't. But I'm sure that there's an account that everybody has here that they have money in, and they have it earmarked for something that's going to benefit everyone, not just benefit one community versus another. I don't live in Holly Hills, but Holly Hills, because I'm sitting up here, is my business, right? To make sure that that community is taken care of, and that when people ride through our town, that it's something that is taken care of and looked at in a great manner. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that answers any questions that anyone may have. With that being said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Mungo motion.
Carl, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.